And I think that's the biggest, like, really, if people can understand, they can feel like, why can't you answer this prayer, God? Like, where are you? Why aren't you coming? Why, like, really sitting with the lament of like a pain of something. And thank you for all those blessings. Thank you for all you've done. There's so much hope. There's so much hope in the future. Like, really teaching people, like, you can feel two different emotions at one time.
Welcome to the Everyday Faith Podcast, where we believe you can live out your faith every day by starting with belief, embracing your mission, committing to obedience, and pursuing community. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jess. On today's episode, Terese Kessler-Bailey joins us. She's a wife and proud mom of two wonderful girls and two huskies. Terese offers both therapy and coaching as a licensed mental health counselor, where she loves supporting clients with spiritual integration, among other techniques. She has so many great thoughts to share with us today, and we're going to get into some interesting topics. So, Terese, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Dan, one thing I want to do before we jump in and hear a little bit more from Terese is have you share a bit about Ask About My Faith and how we got to the conversation we're having today. Should we do that first?
Yeah. So it was amazing. My dad and I were driving in a car, and it was his birthday, and he always wanted to have a website that someone could go to, that he could leave a nice tip and a card that says askaboutmyfaith.com, and it was never available. So on his birthday, I looked it up on my phone quick, and I was able to buy it for $12. It was awesome. And so we had this like whole testimony, but then we're like, well, how could we actually make a difference? Well, I was like, I had worked in churches, and I known that they don't do any marketing. And so we knew that it was pretty easy to market and get a lot of traffic for good things, because people are Googling dark, challenging things.
Really hard life questions.
Like hard, real life questions. Like, why should I be alive? You know, why? Like, am I worth anything if my parents are divorced? Like, it's crazy what some people Google, and so we're like, let's go after those people and provide resources. So that's how the whole organization actually started, and why we have a website. And we're actually going to go back more towards that, because we've gotten a lot of great traffic, but we want to also make sure that it's meaningful traffic. So it's kind of a fun way that we started.
It's wonderful.
Okay, so we're going to talk more about kind of one of those mental health topics. Again, with Terese, you are a licensed mental health counselor. Is that the best? Is that the title that you have?
Yeah, marriage and family therapist. I'm licensed under.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So licensed in marriage and family. You see both individuals and couples, probably, I bet.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk more about that. We'll get to that here shortly. Would you start by sharing off how you came to know the Lord, and maybe how you kind of got to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. So I've grown up in the church since I was little, and we've changed different denominations, but really, like, the foundation of Christianity was there. And really my deeper faith into it started when I was 16 years old. So the literal story of this was we went to Catholic church, and I was in my rebellious stage. So my rebelliousness was to start dating the pastor's son of the Assemblies of God church in town. So I thought, ooh, that'll be fun. That'll get him mad, right? So I started dating the pastor's son, and then my dad literally, and I would sneak out to a church of the pastor's son, and my dad followed me, and then my whole family started coming to the Assemblies of God church. So
wow.
That's literally how we ended up in more of like a faith flowing community. So knowing about Jesus my whole life, 16 years old, really started to get deeper. And then I would say it slowly progressed. And honestly, I would say my adult life has definitely relationship with God. And, but the peace and the inheritance and the love and the grace has probably only came in the last few years. So that's when I can really say, like, my identity has been in my Savior.
That's amazing. Has that really informed the way that you work with clients at work?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's easier to see people in their hurting and where they're at when you can bring Jesus into the room. And like truly, like there's so many times where I'm sitting in the room and I'm like, oh, they should probably see a therapist. And I'm like, oh wait, that's me. So that reminder that, okay, so I'm up. And then I'm like, okay, Jesus, you have to show up here. And he does every time.
Yeah.
Even if it's like, because in my licensure, I can't share my faith always openly. But most times it's invited throughout the timings of getting to know clients and sitting with them and their story. So it's so cool because even Jesus just being there, me asking that, they can feel that.
Yeah.
And I know that, so yes, it's transformational just knowing that he's there and knowing how much he loves them.
That's so good.
Well, can we rewind a little bit though? I am interested. So you're trying to be rebellious and see the pastor's son. So at 16, like what happened where you accidentally at a church service? Like how did that work?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a joke. And like it was, I would go to youth group with them, and my parents were more just like upset because they wanted me to come to their mass, and I was like, no, I'm going to the service over here, so more of like that, like
That's so
kind
funny.
of funny. So that's more my rebelliousness in it. And then of course, this is my whole family came then like, well, no, I don't want to date the pastor's son, like that's no fun.
Funny.
Typical thing.
So then you were at a Wednesday night or Sunday morning. Like when did God speak to you and you first like accept Christ?
Yes, that was at a youth group. Yes, I understand your question now. Yes, that was at a youth group. And actually it was at more of like a youth camp at Lake Geneva up in Alexandria, Minnesota. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. And actually for that, I don't know if it was that exact time or a few times later, I actually had the experience of where I'm sitting and I know God wants to speak through me. And I'm like, I am not going to be that one that's going to do that. And literally could not stand it any longer. And I spoke in tongues, and stood up, and I was, it's like one of these things where it's like, you couldn't stop it. You knew it was God and you're so embarrassed, like all the emotions at one time.
That's amazing. Yeah. I got my first time, I guess, that I chose to commit my life to Christ. It was 16 at a youth camp.
Wow.
It's a great place to go. So if you have kids, send them to great Holy Spirit filled youth camps.
Absolutely.
And that's a great place to be.
That's fun.
For sure.
All right. Well, let's get a little bit into our topic today. You already talked a little bit about how, peace and hope and an inheritance. Those are things that we have as children of God. We already have those things built into our identity, and we don't have to work to obtain those things. Yeah. That's already part of who we are as God's chosen people, right? As his children. And so where should we start?
Well, first, just for everyone listening, we are going to be talking about suicide and our relationship with Christ and hope in that. So we just wanted to let you guys know before we get into it, in case this is not something you want to be a part of, but we'd love for you to stick around and hear what Terese has to say.
All right. So, Terese, let's talk about it. Give us some of your first thoughts when someone comes to you in a hard place. They're struggling. They're I don't know, how does that normally look, I guess, when someone comes in? Is there a stereotypical kind of way that someone shows up in your room when they're having suicidal thoughts?
Yeah. It's really if you think of somebody, I like to think of the opposite first. Okay. So I'll talk like that. So the opposite of that is somebody standing on a mountain, their arms like this, full surrender, having hope, thankless, right? The opposite is true with somebody coming in with suicide. It's just you can just feel the downcast. And it's almost like the questioning of why so downcast? Oh my soul. You just want to ask them that, right? So yes, so you can feel the energy. You can see the Holy Spirit inside of me is just crushing with them. You can kind of feel the pain of it. And really, it's just remarkable because I really think our biggest enemy in this world is ourselves. And the sense of like, we're so, obviously like the devil, but like we're so scared to face ourselves. And if someone walks in our room and knowing that I'm going to ask them, what is your story? Like, I mean, how brave, right? Like for them to be able to do that. So yes, to answer your question, there is a demeanor, there's a feeling, there's a hopelessness, there's a lack of joy, there's shame. You can just feel all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it fair to say that most people at some point in life will feel that way? Or maybe not necessarily most people, but we all have a little bit of a taste of what it feels like to be so discouraged and down.
Right.
What do you think?
Absolutely. And as I was preparing for this, I was, reading a lot of things. And what actually, like, I don't know why I never thought of this before, but really, so many people in the Bible, why was I even born, God? Like, or take me now, God. Like,
Wow,
take this
sure.
cup. Even do like take this cup from me, right? Like there's so many, like Job, Moses, Joseph, Jesus, right? So God put that in the Bible for a reason, and I think so. He wants us to know, like, in this world we are gonna have suffering, right? Like the rain falls on the just and the unjust. Yes, you answer your question. All of us at times have felt a version of that, and some, like, on a continuum, like some have deeper roots or deeper attacks that way than others. But for sure,
Yeah. I love that you actually mentioned Jesus in your list of people in the Bible who really suffered, and because I mean, Jesus, as he's being betrayed by his friends, or he even knows how horrible the last, couple days of his life are going to be. Oh, and is that where he sweats blood, right? He's in the garden and he sweats blood. He's in such despair.
right?
And even in that place, he knew that God had a plan and a purpose, and he still was so in despair. And I don't know, that's a difficult reality. It's also a little bit like, okay, Jesus, he's been through stuff like this.
Right.
He's been through this before.
Right. Yep. He was able to feel the betrayal and the hurt and take this cup from me. Do I have to do this? I will if you want me to. He's able to sit with that. And like, and this day you're going to be with me in paradise. Like, and I think that's the biggest, like, really, if people can understand, they can feel like, why can't you answer this prayer, God? Like, where are you? Why aren't you coming? Why, like, really sitting with the lament of like a pain of something, and thank you for all those blessings. Thank you for all you've done. There's so much hope. There's so much hope in the future. Like, really teaching people, like, you can feel two different emotions at one time. Sometimes it's like, people are like, what? Like, I was so shocked by, but you can. And Jesus did that.
Wow.
Well, and right, he fully trusted in his Father, right? So please let this cup pass, but, right, your will be done, not mine.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that's like, I know the first part of that, right? Like, please, I don't want to do this. But
Right.
he kind of redeems it with, but your will be done, not mine.
Right.
So yeah, if we can focus on the vision, it's always so helpful.
For sure.
I want to talk a little bit about kind of how we get to these really hard places in life, because sometimes, people experience hard, well, I don't know, debatably, right? It always starts with us experiencing something difficult, whether it was subjected to us or maybe it was something we chose.
Yeah.
But either way, we experience something, and that either opens us up to the enemy's attacks, or the thing we experienced itself was an attack of the enemy. What do you guys have anything else to say about that? I mean, it seems like that's often the starting point. Is that right? Is that true?
For sure. Like, we're not born wanting to die. Right.
Right.
Like,
Wow.
that happened. Like, life happens, and at times you can get to that spot of like, right, of hopelessness, of despair. And you're right, like things do happen to us, and or we make decisions. And unfortunately, no matter if something happened to us or we chose that, we still have to walk through the pain of healing through that.
Yeah. And it's hard to imagine that, our God, he's good. He's completely good. And yet we experience hard things, right? That has to be probably one of the biggest questions if we were to ask believers and non-believers, or people who are skeptical maybe of Christianity. Like, if God is so good, why do hard things happen?
Right.
Do we feel like we can touch on that really quick? Not that we can give a complete answer for it, but what's something we could say about that?
Well, I mean, two things. This is not our home, right? We're like, you will always have some sort of suffering. This is not our home, right? Someday we will get to heaven, or Jesus will come back and make it his home. But this is not our home.
Right.
So yes, it is going to suck a little bit, right?
For sure.
It's not.
Yeah.
So and then thankfully we have a good God who gives us free will. And as hard as that is for him to see how we choose things, it's free will. We can't love him without it. So anyways, Terese, we want to hear more from you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the hardest question, right? For
Right.
people that, because our minds. Well, let's go back to the garden, right? There's a reason why God didn't want us to have knowledge, right? Right? Because if we're just like naively like just walking through the garden or whatever, like we just need him, we just need his wisdom, right? So like the knowledge is sometimes the over asking of questions, and sometimes it's like he can't explain it to us because we won't be able to get it. It's right. So, and you're completely right. There's free will for everything, and that's so tricky because you're right. God could stop a lot of things, and I'm even like, you know what, God, if I was there, I mean, I would. You're right. Like, but I think that's part of the wrestling with him, and the part of like, you're sovereign, like you know all, and I'm going to trust that, even though this literally makes no sense. And that's easier said than done, and especially like with traumatic things like that's hard to really sit with. And when you do like a deeper trauma therapy approach to somebody, and you're help training some of the neurons, and through EMDR, IFS, some of the different techniques, and you're like, and God, where were you? Like, show yourself to them.
Yes.
And even in the most horrific situations, they can find Jesus. And when they can do that, or some sense of like his presence, or oh my gosh, like some sort of opening, like Romans 8:28 is my favorite verse, because he does turn all things over to good for those that love him. All things. It may not be what we want, but he knows. Right?
Yeah. And what that does give us hope, if we can truly have faith and believe that even the hardest things that happen in our lives, that God can use. There's not a time that we are completely hopeless and outside of God's love for us.
Right.
That can help us get through those hardest moments for sure.
Right. I mean, I have a lot of stories in my own life of hardships and traumas, and it's not that I'm ever going to be like, gee, thanks God you did that so I could help these people. That is never going to literally be what I'm going to say. And I'm like, thank you for using this pain. Thank you. So I've had a lot of loss. Like, I've lost a son. I lost my dad in his 30s, and he had 5 years struggle with cancer. I'd been betrayed by a partner, and I ended up having to go through a divorce. And I was in a custody battle for a long time. There's so many heartaches, right? And two, like, out of that, I had way more compassion than I would have, and God can use that pain.
Terese, would you be willing to share about one of those times when, you've done a lot of the hard work, right, to work through some of your own traumas and experiences? Could you share about one of those times when, you were able to look back and see where God was in that? Not that you look back and are so grateful that you experienced that awful thing, but you look back and you say, yes, thank you, God, that you were there and that you're using this for good, that you're turning it around for good.
For sure. Well, I mean, my son Champ was born too early. So he, at 13 weeks pregnancy, I started to bleed, and I was bleeding a lot, and to the point of doctors saying like, you should probably abort. This is time. We're going to just abort. And I'm like, literally not going to happen. So I went to see a Catholic doctor because he was the only one who said he would still see me and continue the pregnancy. So this Catholic doctor's office, and pretty much put me on bed rest. And I was on bed rest until I had Champ at 19 weeks, 5 days. And the cutoff for an abortion at that time was 20 weeks gestation. So he was considered a miscarriage. So through this whole thing, I was able, I mean, truly a lot of the doctors like, why wouldn't you abort? So, there's miracle stories in that, but when Champ came, it was pretty traumatic, and I won't share all that right now, but really through my own trauma therapy, sitting with when this happened, I was like, where were you in that? He was in the doctor. Like, I could see Jesus in that doctor. The doctor came in, he sat on my bed, and he just sat there and cried with me. Right. So Jesus was there. And not even that, like, that's when I went back to grad school. So I'm like, I'm going to do something with pain. Either I'm going to like self-destruct or something. So or whatever. So I had too much pain. I'm like, I'm going to go to grad school and be a marriage and family therapist. So really, like, I mean, and I maybe would have, but the timing of all of it, and that it just like, that was like, that pushed me to do it. So Champ still lives with me today. So I still, like, people that I've lost in life, I carry the part that I've learned from them with me, and that continues on their story.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. It's also cool as you're sharing, it's like, man, because Terese did the hard work, your story is able to impact other people.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Another one of the ways that God's using your pain for good, right? As hard as it is, and as much as you probably in some ways wish you could undo and not experience some of that pain.
Like, for sure.
How amazing that God would use your story to help other people who are going through hard things too.
Right.
Well, so with your experience and obviously you continue to grow in wisdom in this field, what would you say to someone that is in a hard spot in life, that is losing hope or doesn't have hope? What is something you would want to say to them?
There's so much power in just sitting with somebody first, honestly, and just in silence and letting them just connect with, like, honestly, the hopelessness. Like, I know it feels kind of backwards, but like saying, like, you know what, like, hopelessness is kind of okay. I mean, it literally sucks, but that's kind of part of going through the fire, right? If I give you all my verses and I tell you, like, you're gonna be fine, you're not gonna want to hear that. Like, the truth is, like, you don't feel hope right now. You feel hopeless. You feel like there's nothing that can get better. And if you can even just name, like, you can have full permission to do that. Yeah, and I'm gonna hold the hope for you that I know and I believe this, all these things over here. Just even doing that, like, if you can start with that, people are just like, you can feel it, like, okay, because I can be hopeless somehow gives me that I can feel hope. It just, people want to be seen and heard. I think that's bottom line.
Right. That doesn't mean that it's easy.
No.
Or that, it's okay. I'm being real with myself and about the hopelessness that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to turn the corner and it's all going to be better from here. It's like, well, that might also not be true.
For sure.
But this is a starting point to say, maybe it's okay for me to be feeling however I'm feeling, hopeless, in despair. Maybe it's okay for me to just be there. And once I'm recognizing that, maybe that's just the first step.
Yeah.
It reminds me, nowadays, people say they're brave for things that aren't always brave. And so it may be an overused word, but man, how brave is it to face that hopelessness, that emotion, versus running from it, trying to distract yourself from it, all the other things that the world and I do. Man, that's brave to actually face that hopelessness.
Yeah.
Terese, I don't know if you ever heard the analogy, and I'm totally going to mess it up right now, but the idea that there's two kinds of animals. I don't remember even which ones. We'll say cows and buffalo or something, right? But the idea that like bison, we'll say bison because it sounds cooler than buffalo. But bison, when the storm is coming, they turn and they walk into the storm. They walk toward it to work through the storm,
Right.
rather than just hunkering down and freezing for longer. They keep their bodies moving. They move into the storm. They get through it faster because of that, and their bodies keep moving. The blood keeps flowing, and they get through it a lot better than if they just hunkered down.
Well, a cow runs from it.
This is a cow?
Yeah,
Okay.
it runs from it. And so, you think about a cow's exhausted. It feels like it's always, almost a storm all the time. And
they still suffer through it.
And you're suffering longer. And man, but why do we do that? Right? Why do I do that?
Coming back to your original thing that you said, I forget your exact question, but if Satan can convince you, like, oh, here's something pretty over here, this is going to help you feel better. So, this is over here, this will help you feel better. Or you know what, you deserve this. Like, you're right. Like, that's the same. Like, if he can convince you of that versus like, come to me, all your weary and burden, right? Like, read on in Romans 5, wrote this down before, like, suffering gives you perseverance, which gives you character, which gives you hope. Like, suffering isn't, and we don't want it. Nobody's like, sign me up. But honestly, like, that's what you need. Like, look at Joseph, right? Like, Joseph in the Bible, like he chose not to be the victim. He chose to continue to persevere. He built character, right? And then he had hope. Thankfully, he did that, right?
Yes.
King David, right? Was God called him to be king, and then he's in a cave fighting for his life with his integrity tested, his perseverance, like everything being tested.
Right.
Oh, it's not very helpful though. It's like, so you're going to suffer. It's going to continue. I love
looking back even to the garden, and it's like we sinned against God for the first time. We run and hide in shame, in our nakedness. Just, we're running from God, and he still pursues us. He's still pursuing, even when we made terrible choices. We didn't trust him. In fact, we were doing everything we could to push him away, essentially, right? Adam and Eve in the garden. And, he had compassion by coming toward us, by looking for us. And then he clothed us, and he actually, by not letting us live forever, right? He was saying, hey, I don't want you to live forever.
Why don't you suffer forever?
I don't want you to suffer. Yes. Thank you. I don't want you to suffer forever in this state. Like, it's better that your life comes to an end here on earth so that you can be with me in heaven. Right. At the end of the day, after you've lived your life beautifully, after I've worked through you for years and years, however long. So I love that we can also think back to that and say, wow, God was so compassionate. Right. Even from the very beginning.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to have an abrupt stop here, but what would you like to share as an encouragement as we end part 1 of this? What would you like to share with us and our audience?
The Jeremiah 29:11, like that verse of like, I know the plan, I wrote it out here too. I wrote the plans I have for you, the plan to prosper you and help you, not to harm you, to give you hope in a future. Like God, you're right. God did meet with him or Adam and Eve in the garden. And really, like, if we can sit with people, our loved ones, if we can sit with each other, if we can and sit with ourselves and really know that he came to give hope, right? There's and really challenging, like challenging the things that we say to ourselves, the things that we're taught, the ruminating thoughts, the stories we're telling ourselves, and really like the absence of hope is despair. Right. So, and if we can really, really help people to be brave enough to sit with themselves, whether it is suicidal ideation or whatever it is, if you can sit with yourself and you can find whose you are. I know you said that earlier. I loved that. Whose you are. You got this.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Terese.
Yeah.
I'm excited for part 2.
Me too.
Thank you for listening to this conversation from the Everyday Faith Podcast. Our goal is to inspire everyday faith conversations. Please join us by rating and reviewing wherever you're listening, and most importantly, by sharing with a friend. For more resources like this, visit our website, askaboutmyfaith.com. God bless you as you live out your faith in your everyday rhythms of life.